Alright, so I'm gonna do this voiceover here because the audio really was horrible from the video camera. Um, Basically, I'm just cleaning this plate up right now and checking, make sure it's nice and flat. Um, Sorry, I have a cold right now. Um, Plus, my son is sleeping upstairs and I'm trying to be quiet, so sorry for talking real softly and quietly. So just basically using some cordless drill attachment wire brush wheel, and now I'm just filing some of the sharp edges off this plate. Um, the point here is to get this thing as flat as possible, and I'm using a file here. That way when it sits up against the GPU, it's perfectly flat. I don't excuse me, I don't want to have any air gaps between the copper plate and the GPU chip. Um, so yeah, just right now actually working on filing off the rough edges on the cutouts that I did from this square plate of copper, and those will be bent over to the side, to the inside, so to form a box basically. Um, that will be sitting on top of the block, and that's where the water is going to be flowing through. So right now I'm just bending the sides over using a hammer and a piece of plywood, I think it was, or particle board actually. Um, I put those blue inserts on my vise as to not uh, damage the copper. Copper's pretty soft. Um, Here, of course, I'm not using the inserts because I'm just trying to bend it a little bit, and the inserts really got in the way. So now I'm gonna be bending in the sides and getting all of the four sides to come up to form a box. It gets a little tricky when you working on the last side because um, all three sides are closed, and it's hard to get your piece of copper at a good angle there. But I managed to get them all um, bent in, and now I'm just doing some filing, making sure the top is nice and flush, and it's just going to sit on top of the plate like this. It's going to be brazed all together once it's done. Those are the pipes that I will be using for inlet and outlet for the water, so I'll have to drill two holes. Right now I'm just cutting the two pieces of copper tubing. I believe they were about 3/8 or quarter inch, 3/8 diameter from outside. I think outside diameter is about 3/8. Here I'm drilling the holes inside of the block, top portion of the block, and using a bigger drill bit here to get that hole to proper size, and just doing some deburring here on the copper tubes. Now I'm doing a dry fit here with the block, and copper tubes fits pretty well, nice and snug. And this is what it looks like when they're both in. I'll have pictures on the end so you can see the final product. I don't make a lot of these YouTube videos, so not really used to it. Here it's after, actually it's done. This is after I brazed all the pieces together, drilled 4 holes in the bottom of the plate, just making sure the plate's nice and clean. Right now I'm putting in 4 wood screws. They're really small wood screws that I use for my RC planes. For like balsa wood. Now I'm just cleaning the GPU and getting right out, putting on some thermal paste here. Just a little dab of thermal paste, cleaning the copper block again just to make sure it's nice and clean. And attaching it to the card here. And what I actually ended up doing is using those zip ties, and the little screws are small enough to fit right inside the zip tie. Basically where the one end, you would push in the one end of the zip tie. That's where I put in the screws. And surprisingly, it's a really tight fit. Like the screw it's like a perfect fit. Because it's almost like a self-tapping screw, kind of like a wood screw, and it goes right in through the zip tie. And I'm going to end up cutting those off. I just left them on there for now, just to make sure everything's good, for easy removal in case I need to remove them. It's easier to hold on to the zip ties while I'm unscrewing the screws from the back. And here we go. It's pretty much done right here. This is what the card looked like before. It's an old card. This is the copper pipe I used, 1 inch or 3/4 inch pipe. Cut it in 2 pieces, then I cut them down the middle. Then I started flattening them out. And this is after they've been flattened, cleaned, and polished a little bit. Just doing a dry fit here. The 2 separate pieces. One's the bottom, the left side is the top. Thereafter, this is a picture of them when they were done. Here's another dry fit before the brazing process. This is after the brazing process and doing a water test. And this is the final product there. Here it is in the case on the computer. I have it hooked up, going to a little bucket of water. I used a little aquarium pump. I got the temperature down to 16 degrees Celsius, but actually lower than that. I think the lowest was about 12. Well, thanks for watching, guys. Have a good one.